No. Good afternoon, evening, early evening. Thank you so much to everybody that has joined us from the media. I'm going to ask the community to come on in, and just in about 30 seconds, we're going to go ahead and get started. Y'all come on around. Fill it in. Just give me some space right here. And Mike, Jason has.
Yeah.
Let me say while we are getting started, a lot going on down east with Andre Brown's case and that community, Andrew Brown's case and the community that we are pulling together. And so we invite everybody's attention and awareness on the March with the Brown family on Sunday, headed into his memorial funeral on Monday. And that one right here, come bring it, yeah, come on this side. Y'all help us with some of the signage. Just got our messages on it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, let me say that our prayers go out to the families of the fallen officers in Boone, North Carolina. Very unfortunate events. We know that all cops are not bad cops. In fact, the overwhelming majority of law enforcement officers are indeed protecting and serving all citizens. And so our prayers go out to the fallen officers out of Boone, North Carolina. All right, so we're going to get started, and after I speak, Attorney Keith is going to come and have words, and some members from community organizations and coalitions are going to have words, and we'll take a few questions. This will be very brief. We'll get straight to the point. The recent arrest of peaceful protesters here in Alamance County is an infringement upon the constitutional rights of citizens, organizers, and activists working right here at the epicenter of injustice in Graham, North Carolina. An infringement of our constitutional rights is continuing to occur over and over. And so that everybody can be on the same page and understand why it's so important for us to be here, let me take you back to July 2nd, 2020. The Alamance NAACP, 7 other Black Lives Matter demonstrators, and myself, represented by the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law and the ACLU, filed suit in federal court and a motion for a restraining order to stop the enforcement of a Graham City ordinance prohibiting protests by 2 or more people without first getting a permit from the chief of police. Graham, I want you to know your history. This ordinance was enacted in the 1960s to target the arrests of protesters over 50 years ago who were working to end racial oppression. So for everybody that is interested in knowing why are we back here doing this again, because we have been going through the infringement of our rights. We have been vandalized and victimized by this system since the 1960s, right here not to mention racial oppression and slavery for over 402 years. Not to mention Wyatt Outlaw over 150 years ago, which has led us to this moment and this protest era. And so on July 6th, the court granted our motion for a restraining order, finding that we were likely to succeed in our claims that Graham's ordinance violated our First and 14th Amendment rights of the U.S. Constitution. The court also found that we, the plaintiffs, would suffer irreparable harm unless the enforcement of the ordinance was immediately stopped. We won that proceeding. When we pulled up here, organizing with Alamance Alliance for Justice in June, it was illegal, or shall I say, it was an ordinance in place to arrest 2 or more people for doing what was happening all across America. 2 or more people for protesting. On November the 2nd, Justice for the Next Generation Coalition and Graham resident Ann Jones and myself filed suit against Chief Christy Cole and Sheriff Terry Johnson for their coordinated disruption and suppression of the October 31st I Am Change March to the Polls, which, Pastor Janet, represented the deployments of pepper spray and arrests and other unreasonable force, which injured peaceful voting rights demonstrators, Ann Jones, including children, elderly, and disabled people. We all remember the events of October 31st. But what has led us to this moment, AA for J, is that within weeks of that lawsuit, Graham City Council members were discussing a new protest ordinance which would require, amongst other things, a 36-hour prior notice to Chief Christy Cole of our intent to protest in a group of 10 or more people. When we learned of this new draft ordinance, we, through the Lawyers Committee and the ACLU of NC, pushed back. We reached out to the city's attorneys and shared that our concerns about this provision was once again unconstitutional. On March the 9th, Graham Town Council passed the ordinance without change to it, which has led us up to April 27th, when peaceful protesters were standing on this street corner demonstrating their constitutional rights to protest in memory of Andrew Brown Jr., the protest movement that has not ceased since the summer of 2020, were arrested and jailed because of an ordinance that is entirely unconstitutional. Graham Police Department arrested these peaceful demonstrators. But let us be clear, both the Graham Police Department and the Sheriff of Alamance County, Terry Johnson, are complicit. Both agencies have had unconstitutional policies and practices that have targeted anti-racist work. We have had enough of it. We have had enough of the infringement of our unconstitutional rights. What is happening in Graham is happening in Elizabeth City, it's happening in Louisville, Kentucky, it's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's happening in Columbus, Ohio, it's happening all over America. But when you get to Alamance County, and I'm ashamed to say this as a son of the soil, the new Selma of the South.
Yes.
You can be locked up for saying Black Lives Matter now.
Wow.
If there is 10 plus 1. The community of color and our brothers and sisters that love us are not going to stop putting pressure for criminal justice reform against this district attorney's office in Alamance County and the Alamance County Commissioner's office and every law enforcement agency in Alamance County that continues to infringe upon our constitutional rights. I want to tell the activists and organizing community here that has been meeting with law enforcement officials, don't compromise your rights. I have had, agents of law enforcement to say, come and meet with us. But when I email Sheriff Terry Johnson, he never responds directly. When I was meeting with Chief Christy Cole, her responses were irrespective of our rights to assemble. And let me tell you, Graham is by far one of the most peaceful protest communities in America. When we started mobilizing in Graham, North Carolina, they said, if y'all remember, we were going to come and destroy the town. But to date, not one of these buildings or businesses have been violated by our peaceful and non-violent protest actionists against anti-racism. This is a peaceful organizing community. What is demonstrated to my right is something that everybody needs to be aware of. And let me show our activist community. We're going to blow their cover today. We're going to blow their cover today. This is a picture of a Graham Police Department officer brandishing this symbol that used to be an okay symbol, but it's no longer okay. A symbol that is representative of white power and white supremacy is being demonstrated by this unedited, unredacted photo taken by a Graham citizen of a Graham Police Department officer. And we do know that Graham is also proudly hiring murderers to protect and serve the citizens of Graham. Strader should have never been hired by a police department agency that has the eyes of the world questioning its practices, questioning its policing tactics, by a police department agency that pepper sprayed and threw into jail peaceful protesters, put on the street our elderly, in arrests, in health concerns, all because we were trying to get to the polls to vote on October 31st. We're not done. We're just getting started. 2021 will be another epic summer of activism if there is no change in this community. This is a representation of the mentality of policing by Graham Police Department and the Alamance County Sheriff's Department that has been investigated by the Department of Justice in the past for biased policing practices against black and brown people are complicit as well. What do we want? And when do we want it? Now. The cases against these protesters that were arrested on Tuesday should be immediately dismissed by the district attorney here in Graham, North Carolina. We will continue to activate. And let me tell you, it's not going to be 10 of us. It's going to be another 1,000 of us. 2 people in July of 2020. The ordinance went from 2 people can't do it. Now they're saying, well, we'll let 10 people do it. So that means right now, 90% of this crowd should be getting arrested.
Well, where they at?
They're not coming today because we out here today.
That's right.
But what I came to do is let Avery and the others arrested know that we are watching from wherever we are around the country. And we are committed to Graham, North Carolina. We are committed. Our lawyers, our legal team is committed. The activist community is committed around this state to what's happening right here in Graham, North Carolina. We're not going to stop until the citizens of this community are justly served by the law enforcement officials. Black Lives Matter.
Keep us safe. By any means necessary. That's right. The chicken's coming home to roost.
Come on, Jason.
Let's give Mr. Drumwright a hand. Ladies and gentlemen, he has been traveling the country, just so you know, if you don't already know, he has had the pleasure of spending time with George Floyd's family, Ben Crump and all the attorneys in in Minnesota regarding the George Floyd matter. He's also currently in Elizabeth City fighting for justice there, and they've actually planned a protest for Sunday. So let's give him a round of applause, please. Let's give him a round of applause. He's correct when we talk about the reason why we're here. It's the systemic racism. If you look to your right, there's a fence that the county of Graham has spent $32,000 to erect. $32,000. If you notice, these cases, these arrests, these things are all in violation of the constitutional rights of your First Amendment rights. They don't care. They don't care. And so we're here to remind them of something. We have an agenda too.
That's right.
We have a mission too. We have a purpose too. We are not going to back down. We are going to fight. This banner says it, and it says it very clearly. See us and hear us. Because there's a team of lawyers, somewhere between 20 to 30 lawyers, every day on Zooms, talking and combating and planning to fight back, to stand for the constitutional rights. We understand that in the past, people used to go away. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. So instead of spending that money on erecting a fence, spend some money in law enforcement to help us to promote the change that Graham is necessary. If you look at the crowd, there's not only black people, there are white people, they're all races. This isn't just a Black Lives Matter movement. This is a everybody matters movement. And so, understanding what has to be done, and I want to remind you, and I told Mr. Drumwright, I'll be here. We have a team of lawyers that you don't see, that don't even get any credit, that don't get an opportunity to stand up here, that's every day, that's planning from plan A to plan B to plan C. If they do this, we're going to do this. If they do this, we're going to do this. So I agree. The people that were arrested, the 10 people that came out here and decided to exercise their constitutionally protected rights of freedom of speech, and Graham, they want us to go away? You think they're going to arrest us? They are a lie. Because guess what? We're not going nowhere. You're going to see us. You're going to hear us. Mr. Drumwright and this movement to change the state, to change Graham, North Carolina, his efforts in Elizabeth City, all of these things are going to come to fruition. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep moving. We're going to keep marching. We're going to keep protesting. And we got a legal team that got him every step of the way. So look, let's give them a round of applause and let's let them know we are not going nowhere. You're going to have to arrest us all because we are not going nowhere. We promise you we'll keep this press conference very brief. So I think we're going to have Avery come up to speak. And and just take into considerations, everything that they're doing is by plan. Everything they're doing is by design. And so the fact that we've already gone to court and won once with the same provisions and that they modified and did it again shows that there's a level of defiance, but we're not going to stand for it. So at this time, I'd like to bring Amy forth and let's have a couple statements. Give a round of applause. Let her wipe the mic down.
Stand with you, got you, Avery. That's right. Can't kill us all.
Yeah, they can't kill us all.
Can't kill us all.
But it's not only me, man. It's everybody in Graham, man, getting tortured. You know, it's hard. It really be hard to speak on stuff like this because we should be way past this by now.
That's right.
But we're still here.
Yeah, that's right.
But like my sister said, we're not our ancestors, you know. So we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep pushing.
Right.
We just need the world to know. Keep us in the prayers. We out there. We keep y'all in the prayers. So we just need justice. We thank Reverend Drumwright. Thank many organizations in Graham, North Carolina, and the lawyers that's doing a hell of a job. We're gonna keep fighting. That's all.
Let me say something about Avery, because, see, black men are criminalized, period.
Yeah, that's right.
Castrated.
Yeah.
As you can see, Avery's character is the target that has been placed on Avery's back is not justified by Avery's character. I asked Avery, bro, what were you doing? He said, Drum, I was standing right here. I said, were you heckling the cops, even though that's not a law? That's not illegal. Were you agitating them? Did you have a weapon? Were you being aggressive? And he said, Drumwright, I was standing right here like I was on October 31st, just existing while black.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in Graham, North Carolina, you can get arrested for existing while black on this street corner if you have or hold a sign that says Black Lives Matter. This young man has had a target on his back since July 7th. They have assaulted him. They have given him a criminal record that is undeserving. And this entire community intends to stand behind him until he gets justice in his cases. Avery, thank you. To the others that were arrested, thank you. Thank you for standing tall. Thank you on behalf of the Brown family that I've been speaking with all day. Thank you for standing with the Brown family in his memory. Thank you to the agencies and organizations that have kept the heat up in Alamance County. Thank you. You're going to hear from one of them right now. AA for J. Come on.
Good evening. My name is Quinslin. I am the president of Alamance Alliance for Justice. I was out here on Tuesday night when Avery was arrested, and the thing about Tuesday night is I hadn't been out as often as I would like to be due to personal reasons. So when I came out, it's always good to be around my justice family. I get these big, amazing hugs and greetings. It's never the rioting atmosphere out here that is displayed in the media. it's love, it's organizing and discussions of better Alamance County, better community, and that's what we were involved in when the police rolled up. They came, and first of all, the police presence at a peaceful protest was already disturbing.
That's right.
And unnecessary. But then to deal with this right here from the police, that was just one of the that's one of the things that I didn't see until after the fact. What I did witness is another gentleman, we were all standing around, it was more than 10 of us, but it was one gentleman that is not here. He also tends to get targeted just like Avery, because he's very vocal. The police got tired of hearing his request to be left alone and practice our First Amendment right. So they kind of asked one of the other officers, hey, do you have an extra set of handcuffs? And that gentleman kind of took off running. He said, you're gonna have to catch me first. And that was the biggest joke for the officers.
Wow.
I looked at him and I asked, is that funny to you to watch a black man running in fear?
Come on. Wow.
Is that funny to you?
Wow.
There was, of course, no response to that question. But that's what we deal with here. I have an 11-year-old son, and my 11-year-old son actually fits the description.
Come on. Come on now.
He has the body weight of a grown man. He wears cornrows, hair, and in America, in Alamance County, he fits the description, guys. And as we add to the hashtags, Andrew Brown, Dante Wright, the different names, I fear my son being a hashtag. Your son being a hashtag because of his skin color. Guys, that's why we're out here.
That's why.
That's why we're out here. Everybody doesn't have a son, but some people don't want to be that hashtag.
That's right.
Some people don't want to see, every person out here is not black. Some white people don't want to see their neighbors or their best friends be that hashtag.
That's right.
So that's why we're out here standing in unity, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Cliff Carter. He's also a member of Alamance Alliance for Justice. He's going to be speaking.
Uncle Cliff. Thank you, Queen.
One thing that I'll say is that the one thing we do have is staying power.
Okay.
We're not going anywhere.
That's right.
We're going to stay in here and do what we need to do until it gets done. You know, that I've had the opportunity over the last few months to take a different approach, to take a different outlet to put my voice out there. I've spoken to the county commissioners, and I've spoken to them on numerous occasions. And my first speech to them was, you know, I remember coming here 30 years ago. And the one thing that my family members and my the family that had just newly adopted me as their son, they told me the one thing that you have to worry about around here is going to that place called Graham.
Oh, wow.
If you don't do anything else, you got to worry about where you go and who you run into when you come to Graham. Now, the sad part about that is after I retired from the military, I decided to make this area my home. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. I hear the argument about why that thing that's standing over there, that smokestack of hate, that smokestack on the engine of hate, why is that thing still here? You know, that's a soldier up there. I was a military man myself. He thought he had a right to do what he had to do. He was fighting for what he thought was his country. But they were traitors. They were traitors. And you know, and they've been supporting that traitorous idea since 1865. When it all ended, the discussion still continued to now. And I have people asking me, well, why is it relevant that you have to go all the way back there to talk about, you know, that soldier? Well, guess what? The fight is still on with them right now, right here and now. This country, we recently had a new president put in office.
Yes.
First thing he does, or one of the first thing he does, is he stops a war. There's a war that's been going on here. There's a war that's been going on here for over 200 years. I'm talking about straight up people having to run for their lives. The police activity that we talk about here, as I told one young man the other night, a business owner in this area, the police are just patrollers of 150 years ago.
That's right.
You know, the whole point is that I'm gonna get you no matter what. And it is just the way it is. No, but it doesn't have to be this way. This gentleman right here talked about about jurisprudence and how we need to do whatever we need to do in order to make a change. But yeah, in 2015, they wrote another law to stop us from taking this thing down. That law was put in place just to keep this thing up there. You know, why? An ordinance for us to assemble gets written just to keep us where we are. Why is that? We will be here, we will stand and fight until we change. We will do whatever it takes to make a change. You know? I mean, I'm not an orator, but I know what's right. They talk about justice. You know, the one thing that the word about justice, that we have justice for the next generation, Alamance Alliance for Justice. That word justice has a meaning. Righteousness. Laws written with righteousness in mind. Why can't we live with a righteous life? Because there are individuals who don't want that to happen, and they live right here in this city. They live right here in this city, and believe it or not, some have moved on to higher powers in the state to make things happen at a higher level. But we got to be with them. We got to be with them. I know I won't be here this weekend, but we got to go to Elizabeth City. There's a line drawn in the sand that has to be done in Elizabeth City. Now, Reverend Drumwright, you put out a request that we all support one another, that we stay together, and we need to do that. Alamance Alliance for Justice. Alamance Alliance for Justice. Alamance Alliance for Justice. Justice for the next generation. Justice for the next generation. We will stand. We will stand and we will fight.
Miss Ann Jones.
Can I get Avery to stand here? Good morning, Graham. I mean, good afternoon, sorry. Good afternoon. Okay. My name is Ann Jones. I'm a citizen here in Graham. I'm a mother. But I will never know how Marcus Smith's mother could ever feel, because I have the privilege of being passed over by officers. My sons have the privilege of being let by officers. Talk about it, Miss Ann. But Marcus Smith's mother, it's not going to be another day with him. I will never, do you understand that I will never, ever feel what that lady feels? I'm a mother, but I'll never feel that. So I can't possibly understand all of her pain. But yet and still, every day that I'm in the streets here in Graham, I feel pain. Because the racism that are in these streets, from judges to city managers to officers, the whole system. It is not just patched
Call them out.
into the system. It's actually woven into the fabrication of Graham itself. And I want to tell you that it should not just be a Graham problem.
That's right.
It is an American problem.
That's right.
And I want to know for all of the media, all of you were here on November the 1st. You showed out in droves to see the violence, to print it. But where have you been? Where have you been? We're still here.
Still here.
We got mental problems. It's real. We got health problems. Look at Miss Janet. What if that was your mother? Okay? Now, I'm standing with this young man because I've known him for quite a while. And no, I'm not his real mother, but I am his mother in these streets every single day. And I want you guys to know that, and I want you to know, Avery, I love you. I love you, okay? Don't you ever forget that somebody in this world loved you.
At this time, thank you, Mama Ann. Thank you. Thank you, AA for Jay. Let me just call out the other organizations that are mobilizing and organizing, putting pressure on the systemic issues here in Alamance County. We got the Alamance Agents for Change. We got Future Alamance. Call them out for me. Forward Motion. Occupy Graham. Light of Alamance. Definitely Down Home Alamance. Definitely Down Home Alamance. Whites Against White Supremacy. Thank you, Mama D's. People for Change. Yes. Let's give all of these organizations a hand. We continue to uplift the entire work and movement that's going forth. Are there any questions from the media? Any questions whatsoever? I know we're in the middle of a news hour. Thank you for coming. We hope that all of you all will join us as we mobilize in Elizabeth City. Thank you to our amazing team of lawyers that continue to put pressure. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law and ACLU North Carolina. Thank you to Attorney Jason Key and his work in that courthouse, week in and week out. And all of the other lawyers that are defending peaceful protesters. We will continue our action of nonviolent but direct action, powerful and peaceful protest. Thank you.
The new ordinance that the city of Graham has, it's my understanding that it's a misdemeanor. So do you normally get arrested for a misdemeanor? No, you don't. Or why can't they just give a
Charge.
ticket?
Give you a charge. Yeah.
A ticket.
A citation.
Yeah, citation.
Based off the class misdemeanor, it is.
Re-articulate her question.
So the question is the ordinance that was passed limiting protests to 10 or less people without a permit is a misdemeanor. And is it an arrestable offense? And the answer is yes. They can arrest for a misdemeanor offense. Usually infractions are non-arrestable offenses. This is an arrestable offense, so they have the discretion. They can let you go sign yourself out, where they'll give you written promise to appear or give you a ticket or a citation. But they also have the authority per the law to arrest you, given the provision that was voted on.
But it is discretionary, left up to the officer?
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Let me say one thing about that. And we have already sent, our legal team has already sent another missive requesting them to disband this new ordinance. And we noticed that last night there were no new arrests.
And today,
They ain't here tonight.
You don't see them nowhere.
We are taking direct legal action. If Graham does not disband this ordinance, there will be direct legal action so that the organizers and demonstrators in this community can feel protected moving forward in this movement, because we're not going to stop.
My question is, I don't know if we have anything active with DOJ, but you said an option.
You want to speak on that?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that right now. That's something that's probably in the works, like I stated before. The question is, can we get DOJ involved in this? And that is an option. We haven't actually addressed that option yet. As I stated, there are probably about 20 to 30 attorneys that have been involved in litigation from the first time Judge Eagles put an injunction preventing them from allowing people to protest until the recent lawsuits that were filed in the pepper spray situation. So that is an option, but I don't think we've explored that yet. So as of right now, they're not there.
Let me answer. I did speak with the Attorney General personally today, North Carolina Attorney General. And then I spoke at length with his office just today. Tomorrow I meet with the North Carolina Courts Commission. I was reappointed to that commission. They have asked me to speak and bring a presentation. I have spoken to the Department of Justice at the federal level since October 31st. We are asking that there will be investigations launched here in Alamance County concerning the pattern and practice of Graham Police Department and the Alamance County Sheriff's Office.
And the Department of Justice did get that picture and what happened here the other night because I sent it to them. So they are aware.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all want to take a picture?
Did you get a lot of them?